about silicon as semiconductor. So, Justina, what is the definition of silicon?
So, silicon is a tetravalent nonmetallic element that occurs combined as the most abundant element next to oxygen in the Earth's crust, and is used especially in ferrosilicon for steel making, in other alloys, and in semiconductors.
So, how about semiconductor?
Semiconductor is any of a class of solids, such as germanium or silicon, whose electrical conductivity is between that of a conductor and that of an insulator, in being nearly as great as that of a metal at high temperature and nearly absent at low temperature.
Well, first, let's recap that metals can conduct electricity because metals have delocalized electrons. When you put a potential difference across a piece of metal, those negative electrons that are free to move are now going to be attracted toward the positive ends of your power source and repel from the negative end. So, these electrons with a low ionization energy can off the metal quite easily and free to move around. In fact, anything with freely moving charged particle will conduct electricity. Now, with non-matter, the electrons in the valence shells are not free to move around. They might have a very high ionization energy or more likely to be stuck in the covalent and immovable. So, let's look at semiconductors such as silicon. Well, silicon has a tetrahedral arrangement and it is found between the metals and the non-metals on the staircase on the periodic table. Now, this is a confusing looking reality. So, let's pretend that there's a flat sheet like that. Each silicon has 4 bonds, and now let's zoom in and look at one individual silicon atom. You can see it in group 14 because it has 4 valence electrons. If I hit it enough, then one of the electrons might move into the conduction band and leave a hole. It isn't a literal hole, but it's called a hole. It's lots of electrons shining light on the correct frequency. The silicon may also do this, going back to our silicon lattice. As I increase the temperature, the electrons in the covalent bond vibrate more and more until at certain temperature, the electrons will go into the conduction bands, leaving holes behind. Once they are in the conduction bands, they are free to move around and will jump from hole to hole. As you heat the silicon more, the amount of electrons in the conduction bands will increase. But if you apply a potential difference or the voltage, make one side plus and one side minus, the electron will migrate toward the positive charge and away from the negative. And that's conduction. Group 1 has lowest ionization energy, so it's easier to remove electrons from group 1, and as you go across, it's harder and harder and harder to remove electrons from the valence shell. Whereas it's harder and harder and more energy is needed. So the metals have low first ionization energy, while the semi-metals have intermediary values and the non-metals have the highest first ionization energies.
Semiconductors can be insulated at low temperature and conductors at high temperature. As they are used in the fabrications of electronic devices, semiconductors play an important role in our daily life. These materials are used in the foundations of modern-day electronic devices such as computers, radios, and mobile phones. Semiconductors also used in the manufacturing of electronic components and used in electronic devices such as transistors and diodes.
Semiconductors are especially important as varying conditions like temperature and impurity content can easily change their conductivity. The combination of various semiconductor types together generates devices with special electrical properties which allow control of electrical signals. Imagine a world without electronics if these materials were not discovered. Despite the fact that vacuum tubes can be used to replace them, using semiconductors has made electronics faster, reliable, and a lot smaller in size. Also, they have allowed for creations of electrical devices with special capabilities which can be used for various purposes. After oxygen, silicon is the most abundant element present in the Earth's crust. It is present in clay and sand and also exists as a major part of rocks like quartz and granite.
Silicon is necessary for the maintenance of skeletal health. It inhibits the depositions of different minerals like calcium in the bone tissues. Other than that, silicons also prevent atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis are caused by the formation of hard plaque in the bone tissues.
So, the conclusion is, silicon is a semiconductor and are widely used in many areas of electronics. Silicon also plays a key role in protection against many diseases. So that is all about silicon as semiconductor. I hope you all enjoyed the video and thank you for listening.